What's up, everybody? Last night we got Chapter 22 of The Mandalorian, titled Guns for Hire, which saw Bo-Katan and Din Djarin out on the search for more of their Mandalorians. Before we get into the meat of the episode, though, I'm going to give you your one and only spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the episode yet, tune out and come back later once you've watched the episode for this full spoiler breakdown. So we open up in space as AXE WOVES and Casca Reeves are on the hunt for a Mon Calamari prince who has fallen in love with a Corran pirate, it seems. We get confirmation that the Mandalorians are gallivanting around in Moff Gideon's commandeered light cruiser. We actually get a really cool shot from behind of it, which, to be frank, kind of took me a second to appreciate. At first, it felt like the Star Destroyer shot in Kenobi, but as it panned, it was much better. Once they've secured the prince, we find out that Woves and his crew are working solely for credits. It was implied when Bo said they were mercenaries. However, Casca Reeves confirms it this episode when their honor is questioned. From there, we jump to Bo and Din heading to Plazir 15 in search of AXE Woves and his crew of Mando mercenaries. This planet gave off very strong Jurassic World vibes, which makes sense because the one and only Bryce Dallas Howard directed it. As always, she did a phenomenal job, and there are multiple epic fight sequences that she brings life to throughout the episode, but we'll get into those in a bit. First off, though, we gotta talk about two major cameos. The first, from Jack Black. He portrays an ex-Imperial who is now married to Lizzo. But he's gone through the New Republic Reformation program and is trying to better their planet. However, they're having issues with their reformed battle droids attacking citizens, and that's where we get our next big cameo from none other than Doc Brown. He's the head of security on Plazir, and we find out some interesting stuff about him later on, but first, he sends Bo-Katan and Din Djarin to the basement where the Ugnaughts are repairing droids, and they lead them to the docks where we get the first of two awesome action sequences. At the docks, Din just starts kicking droids around left and right to test which one is malfunctioning from its programming, which Bo does not appreciate very much. But once he finds out the droid that is malfunctioning, he fucks around and finds out as he gets slapped silly across the docks as the droid takes off into the fastest sprint I've ever seen from a droid. They chase it through the streets with some really great shots from Bryce's directing, which is again very reminiscent of some stuff in Jurassic World, which is a very good thing though because it worked. Once they've taken the droid out, it's transferred to the morgue where they find out the droid's been corrupted by nanotech. This is a common cause of trouble in the galaxy, as we've seen it all the way back in the Clone Wars when the Jedi Temple was bombed and Ahsoka was framed. After a quick scare in the morgue, where Din slices a med droid in half with the Darksaber, we find out that it was Christopher Lloyd's character who has orchestrated the droid's malfunctions, because he was a fanatic of Count Dooku. He was a separatist back in the day, as he babbles about how he avoided the Republic and then avoided the Empire. This does kind of tie into the show though, because we know the Republic was incredibly flawed. The Empire was cynical, to put it lightly, and the New Republic is just the Empire with kid gloves on it. There's been a couple moments this season where Jon Favreau has indirectly pointed out the flaws in the galaxy without shoving it in our face. And while it's not executed to the level of something like Andor, I do really appreciate it, and I appreciate him trying new things even more. Back to the story though, as they solve the crimes, they present Lloyd to King Jack Black and Queen Lizzo as Din and Bo get a key to the city, and then Grogu is knighted by Lizzo. I can't say I love this scene, but it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to go rant on Twitter about it, but I did really love Jack Black and Christopher Lloyd. However, I can't say the same about Lizzo because I'm not sure she can act. Anyway, they're allowed to go to the Mando mercenaries now, and we get the standoff we've been waiting for all episode. Bo-Katan approaches AXE Woves, and when his ego is taken over, she challenges him to trial by combat for the respect of the Night Owls. He tells her she should be challenging Din instead, but that will be resolved in just a moment. First, Axe and Bo have an awesome fight using everything from their jetpacks to their wrist flamethrowers. Bo shows off her veteran fighting skills as she takes Axe down and seemingly regains the respect of the Night Owls, but Wolves isn't going down that easily. He bounces back to the Darksaber conversation as he points out their creed sees the holder of the saber as the true ruler. This is where Din steps up and informs the Night Owls of the events of Chapter 18, where he was defeated in combat, then Bo-Katan defeated his captor in combat, meaning she is technically the rightful wielder of the Darksaber. However, that's really Palpatine because he defeated Maul in combat in Season 5 of the Clone Wars, but didn't care for the blade, so it went back to Maul when he was broken out of jail in the Son of Dathomir comic. As we roll to the credits, we get a shot of Bo-Katan igniting the Darksaber that will carry into the Mandalore-heavy episodes to wrap the season. And so that'll do it for this week's breakdown of The Mandalorian. Was this episode the greatest thing ever? No. However, we got really fun cameos from Doc Brown and Bowser, and some really great action sequences from Bryce Dallas Howard. So I'm sorry if that fulfills my expectations for the Mission of the Week show. Like I said, I enjoyed it even though it wasn't the best because I'm going to be real with you. It felt like a classic Mando episode. I also live in the reality where not everything has to be a 10 out of 10 equated to Luke Skywalker showing up. With that being said though, these next two episodes do need to be large payoffs so we can look back at the other episodes and what they set up and say, oh okay, so that's why they did this, and now that makes more sense, and now this means more. Just like we were able to do with the prior seasons. I'd give this episode about a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10, and I think that's the lowest, or tied for the lowest I've given so far this season, but I want to know what you guys thought about it. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts on Chapter 22, Guns for Hire, down in the comments below, and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of my Mando Season 3 coverage, and also my daily news and theory videos, and most of all, make sure you have a great day.